Right.
It's a frustrating loss to do that.
It is, and it's
be
not.
that good.
If I'd have been a stroke or two off with 3 holes to play and fell just short, that would be really tough to swallow. Because then you'd start looking at, boy, if you just made that one shot or that one putt. But, I mean, McIlroy just crushed everybody yesterday. Just crushed them. Not surprisingly, money came pouring in for McIlroy for this week's event, the U.S. Open. I think he's as low in some spots now as 8-1, down from like 13 or 14. I don't think anybody's ever won the pre-tournament to the U.S. Open and then won the Open. All I can tell you is this: if McIlroy plays at the level he did this past weekend, he's the best player in the world. In my opinion, when he's right, he's the best player in the world. And one added bonus: the greens are the same type of greens at this week's U.S. Open at Pebble Beach as they just played on at the Canadian Open. So whereas some people might look at it being a disadvantage to have not taken the week off prior to the U.S. Open, I'm not so sure. And in fact, you've got arguably three of the best players in the world: Brooks Koepka, DJ, Dustin Johnson, and McIlroy, who all played the Canadian Open and are now heading out to Pebble Beach.
Momentum.
I think there's a great chance any of those guys can win.
I'm a big believer in momentum, and when momentum's working your way, it carries over, and you come off a tournament like that. How would you like to have a foursome when Rory is totally on like he was yesterday, obviously, with that round? Koepka, the way he is golfing right now, DJ for his overall consistency, and then
Tiger.
When Tiger was Tiger.
Well, he's Tiger now in a way. I mean, look, he won the Masters, and his last tournament, he had a great Sunday and ended up like 5th or something like that.
What a foursome would that be? Who would you make in all of those scenarios? Who would you make the favorite?
Okay, my choice. If he's on his game, I take McIlroy. Okay, I think if all four are on their game, I don't think Tiger's game is quite what it used to be. Obviously, he can still win. It's tough to go against Koepka in a big tournament. But I've had this opinion for a couple of years. When he's right, I think Rory McIlroy is the best player in the world.
He's just had too many ups and
well, yeah, but I mean, he was so good Saturday and Sunday, because I think he was like 5 or 6 under on Saturday, and then Sunday was just incredible. It looked like he might shoot 59. Yeah, he got really aggressive going for it on the last few holes because he had nothing to lose. I mean, he was going to win the tournament anyway, and didn't hit him perfect and didn't get the 59. But and I know there's going to be a lot of sharp guys who will go against McIlroy this week with the and I'm not disagreeing with them. Well, I am disagreeing with them, but I'm not dismissing their opinion that he's going to bounce a little bit because he played so well at the RBC Heritage. I don't know. I think he's going in top form, and
I understand the bounce scenario. You know, I mean that's a big trend.
But that's not. See, I reserve that more for. I'll put it this way: I reserve that more for Shane Lowry, who had a great tournament. He shot like 14 or 15 under. He could bounce.
Yeah,
I don't think Rory's bouncing.
Yeah, I want a guy that's in a groove rather than a guy coming off a horrible performance going into a big tournament. I just don't feel that you can turn it on and off like that. And I know there's more adrenaline rush for the big tournaments as opposed to an everyday one. But you win something, Dave. You get in a roll and your mind's in the right spot. And you carry that on.
His longest putt yesterday, until he got to I think the 17th, his longest putt was 9 feet. It's unbelievable.
Only having to putt 9 feet, from 9 feet away. Yeah, I'm saying, you could probably muster a 72.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet about the signings of 2 pitchers who'd been free agents, and they remained free agents because nobody wanted to give up compensation draft picks for them. But that ended with on the day of the draft. So Craig Kimbrell is now signed and sealed and delivered with the Cubs, and Dallas Keuchel is going to be pitching for the Atlanta Braves. They'll both have some rehab stints. They've got to go through their spring training, so to speak. What do you think these 2 trades do for the respective teams? Start with Kimbrell.
The Kimbrell one, at the end of last year, Dave, I wouldn't have gave this guy any kind of money. I wasn't.
He was struggling at the end of last year.
So now to say, and he's been, gone all baseball season, and now you're going to pick it up and get there. I question the amount of money they gave him, and for him to do it.
I question the length of the contract. His is 3 years.
Right.
Keuchel's only one, which is, to me, a big difference. Because if Kimbrel is starting to go into decline, that becomes an expensive contract.
Absolutely. So I don't like that contract. I look at the money right away, and then, obviously the length, how much you're on line for. But, Keuchel didn't want to. He demanded the money that he wanted. He wouldn't come down on his price.
Which he really didn't get. Because Keuchel only got a 1 year contract.
He got the 1 year contract. Now, the plus side for him, if you remember the last couple of years, he's had stints on the injury list. He hasn't been durable. Okay, so he missed some time. So if he can stay healthy and finish out this second half of the season strong for the Braves, he could set himself up for a contract next year.
Yep.
All right. But for Atlanta, you're getting a guy that's been in the playoffs the last couple years with a very good team. So that's going to be a calming effect, I think, for the rest of those young pitchers at Atlanta. I think this is a good move for him if they get anything out of him. And the guys that he's going to replace, and me and you talked about this right before we went on air, somebody's losing their starting rotation.
It's either going to be Fultonevich or Gausman. I think it's probably going to be Gausman.
Yeah, he's been absolutely horrid in his last two starts, and we'll talk about that. And now he's got the added pressure of pitching for basically his life.
The other thing it does, by the way, is it does allow them, and I think this is another kind of under the radar fringe benefit for the Braves. They're in a race, but you still don't want to, because this is just the way baseball is played now. I'm not saying I agree with it. In fact, I don't agree with it. Because I like the idea of building up guys, not limiting their innings. But we know what baseball is about in 2019. Adding Keuchel doesn't necessarily mean they bump anybody from the rotation. They could go to a six-man rotation, and in doing so, monitor the innings of their two young stars, Fried and, more importantly, Soroka. Because Soroka, remember, he already had a bit of a breakdown last year, and that guy's he's a number one starter. So I think the Braves like the idea of this being something where they can either go with a 5.5-man rotation, where Gausman becomes kind of a swing man. If they've got days off, they just go with 5 and he doesn't pitch. If they're playing a stretch where they don't have any days off for 2 weeks, he would be a sixth starter, so to speak. And that way they can maintain a leash on the innings of Soroka and Fried, who are, quite frankly, more important to them long range.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I would do, Dave, is I wouldn't go with a six-man rotation because I don't like what you have on the 5 and 6 spot. But what I would do is just skip Soroka, give him a start off so that as you can do it, throw one of the guys in, and then, next time do it with Fried and get them there. But for Keuchel, he's going to be fresh now. Think about you're going to have a fresh arm for the stretch run. This is a good move. If Keuchel can be anything close to what he was, and he's never going to be what he was.
No. But if he can be a 6 or 7 inning free run guy, that's going to give you a chance to win a lot of games.
And I agree. And Dave, I got to ask you this question, and I was complaining about it as we went on air with the bullpens this year, as bad as they are. Is this a scenario where we're so worried about the pitch counts and the innings on these starters that instead we're saving the starters, but we're ruining our bullpens in doing it?
Well, not only ruining the bullpens, but you're giving, and I've said this before, you're giving more innings than ever before to mostly failed starting pitchers, which is why they're in the bullpen to begin with.
Absolutely.
So the results are not they're not that shocking. And it's just one bullpen after another. Epic disasters this year. You're not safe with any lead.
No, you're not, and you're not safe with any under, as I found out yesterday.
No, for me to bet a 9-inning under, I've got to have 2 guys I expect to go 6 or 7 innings, thereby lessening the chances that I've got some stinky bullpen coming in and messing things up, or go the first 5 route. if it's a strictly starting pitcher type of thing.
And not that it helped me yesterday, but for future reference, this is now 2 starts in a row that Seattle's gone the opener route with Wade LeBlanc.
I said
he pitched 2 sensational games back to back after he come in.
But one was against a team that can't hit lefties.
Right.
The Angels cannot hit lefties. I don't know why, because their lineup indicates they ought to hit lefties, but they don't.
I agree with you there.
All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything? No. I think your CFL starts this week, by the way. We might get into that. Might grab somebody later in the week to talk some CFL. Because here in Las Vegas, CFL matters more than perhaps any place else in the United States. Yeah. That may change with legalized gambling in other states, but CFL gets some attention out here. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Joe's Angle of the Day and the Monday, MJ Christensen 4 at 4.
The Las Vegas Sportsline.
Finley Volvo on West Sahara is hosting an evening with Vegas Golden Knight William Karlsson on Thursday the 13th. This is a ticketed event. All proceeds go to the Battle for Vegas Tyler Robinson Foundation. To RSVP and to make your donation, go to Finley Volvo's Facebook page.
Deanna got some really bad news from the IRS.
They said you owe quite a bit of money.
She didn't have that kind of money.
I was in a state of despair.
And when she called, all she got were threats.
Garnishing my wages, taking my house, taking my car. I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Thankfully, Deanna found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $500 million for their clients. Optima went right to work for Deanna.
Optima Tax negotiated everything. I did not have to worry. They talked to the IRS.
Needless to say, she was relieved.
Optima Tax saved my life.
Do what Deanna did. Call Optima now for a free consultation. Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm with Cliff Miller from MJ Christensen at Boca Park. Cliff, I'm an old guy. I got some old jewelry. Any ideas what I can do with it?
Oh, absolutely. One of our largest categories is custom design. My son Rusty does it all. And it's the most incredible thing to see styles that are 30, 40 years old that people haven't worn in years and see what he creates out of those diamonds, precious gems, and that metal. And you will be sparkling and feel top of the world when you leave MJ Christensen.
MJ Christensen, located at Boca Park.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Hey, what about those who have applied for a loan with DLC in the past and been denied?
Great question. Unlike banks, we try our best to approve everyone. But the reality is that some people are going to be denied, and they have been. The good news is that everyone's situation changes. 2 years ago or even 6 months ago is a long time. Now you're on your job longer. Maybe you got a raise, paid off some other bills, who knows?
And after 20 years, I'm sure DLC has had a lot of applicants.
Over 2 million people have applied with us for a loan. If you were denied in the past, come on back in. We'd love to give you another shot. We've even loosened our lending criteria over the past year.
They could also bring in a co-borrower, right?
Of course. Another good idea.
Get up to $5,000 in just minutes at Dollar Loan Center. We have over 50 locations, and our friendly Dollar Loan Center staff are ready to help. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Dave Cokin with John Lyons from Lyons Physical Therapy. So give me a rundown on maybe a typical treatment at LPT.
Sure, Dave. On an initial consult, we'll sit down with the patient for at least 10 or 15 minutes, get a history of their injury or their condition. Then we'll move into an assessment where we put our hands on the patient, take them through a few special tests to identify what the pain source is and what the actual injury is. Then we'll use some modalities like heat and electric stimulation to reduce their pain and muscle spasms. And typically our physical therapist or assistant will do some type of manual stretching, massage therapy, or range of motion on that patient. And after the initial visit, we typically see patients 2 to 3 times a week for 4 to 6 weeks.
LionsPTLV.com, 702-476-0222.
You ready for another Vegas summer? Better question, is your car ready? If the thought of another go-around of stalling, battery failure, or faulty air conditioning has you down, 2 words. United Nissan, the #1 Nissan dealer in Southern Nevada. Huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, and they'll give you the best deal in Vegas. Yeah, they're pretty serious about that. And take a test drive and they'll pay for your gas.